everybody? This is Greg, Uncle G Lyons, and you're watching KLB TV.
Hello everyone, this is Desmond Cousin, and you're watching another episode of KLB TV, and I'm so excited to be with Uncle Greg, Uncle G.
That's it?
Yes, sir. So you gotta tell us, how do we break into the music industry?
Ooh, that's a good question. Break into the music industry. Well, I would say first, surround yourself with some people that's knowledgeable about the music industry.
Yes, sir.
Because it's a big difference from, if you're talking about being an artist, to singing in your local church as to being a national recording artist. It's a whole lot different. I tell people all the time, it's different from when you're either being on salary or even volunteering at your local church service to having to go out and now you depend on you being booked in order to pay your bills. It's a big difference. So you have to get that mindset that if I'm going to do this professionally, that I have to do the things that come along with that as far as preparing myself, media training, taking care of my voice, being able to travel. It's a lot of grinding, it's a lot of going to sleep late, getting up early in the morning, flights. So you have to really take care of your body. It's not just like singing on Sunday, it's something totally different.
Wow, that's good. That's good. So what would you tell upcoming artists, they feel like they have that sound, but they don't really have those connections, to get them on the platform as you?
Well, I would say first, serve locally. I would find your local community. I would find a good church home. And what's most important, not only just serving there, to find good covering from pastors, from bishop, from the community. Let them embrace you first, because if you don't have a covering at home, how could you imagine going out on the road to thousands and thousands of strangers each week and not having somebody back home that's praying for you, that's covering you, that's nurturing you? So
It's
first,
basically a support system.
a support system, yeah. So the first thing I would say is, plant your feet solid in the church system at home first, and get acclimated to that, and then from there you just grow and branch out from there. But get that foundation first before you think about going to someone else's church house.
Wow, that's good. And like I said, I was reading about you, and I just thought it was amazing. I'm in that generation of Little Romeo.
Okay.
I just thought it was amazing how God transitioned you from the secular industry and to be able to be successful in the gospel industry, because it's a tough industry.
Oh yes, indeed.
It's a tough industry.
I just took the same principles, I guess, that I learned from the secular side, and I just applied the same grind to the gospel side. And it was a big step. Of course, the finances are the same, the money isn't the same, but the reward to me is greater. For me to feel that I'm in the industry to where I'm actively helping people hear the word of God, get these artists' music out, played nationally, and saving lives. You just hear all of the testimonies, when people either responding on social media or when they finally meet the artists, at the autograph table and taking pictures, and they share their testimonies with them. It is very gratifying, it's very rewarding to just hear how, somebody could be on the brink of suicide and they heard a certain song.
That's a serious issue, right?
Yeah, it's a serious issue. Just being in a state of depression. Or somebody that's just ill and they just listened to a song over and over and it gave them hope.
Right.
So that, to me, is more gratifying than the money. Now, don't get me wrong, I miss the money. But to compensate that, and like I said, I think it has more value, or I just feel that it'll get me into the kingdom of heaven faster than if I had a whole bunch of money. If I feel that I'm doing God's work and I, got his message out to the people.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. I think you need to write a book.
Okay.
You just have some
I've been hearing that.
You might need to write a book, man.
I'm going to have to think about that. I've been hearing that a lot lately.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. What I found that was amazing as well, I think you helped out Brian Courtney Wilson, as far as breaking 20 singles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when international.
Oh yeah,
You know,
well,
Lexus County.
Brian and I knew each other in Houston.
Mhm.
He would sing, I would hear Brian sing at different events in Houston
Okay.
when I was working with other artists. And Brian approached me quite a few years ago and came to a Christmas party, give an annual Christmas party. And I was just, back then it wasn't the cell phone as much, it was Rolodex. So I was scrolling through my Rolodex, you know, inviting people in the Houston area,
Right.
and invited him and never thought that he would show up. And he showed up to the party that night and I was like, oh, okay, man, glad to see you. And we were talking and he called me to the side, called me in the living room. He said, man, you know, I've been following you for a long time. He said, so I have something I want you to hear when you get a minute. And I was like, okay, what is it? So he reached in his pocket and pulled out a CD. And he was giving me the background about how he had recorded the CD over a year, and they had tried a couple of people at radio, and you know nothing had materialized. And I was like, okay, well, when I get it second out, you know, take a listen to it because it was festive. There's a lot of people at the house. So the next day, I was on the way to the gym and left the CD on the coffee table, and someone told me to just grab it, and I said I'll just listen to it on the way to the gym. And man, when I tell you, by the time I got to the gym, I must have listened to All I Need about 4 or 5 times. And when I pull up to the parking lot in the gym, I couldn't go in the gym because that song just ministered to me.
Wow.
And I called him from the parking lot. I said, man, now what were you telling me was going on with this album? I said, you have any more of these? And he was like, oh yeah, I have a garage full of them. And he was telling me the story about the label he was signed to at the time. Just hadn't put it out yet. So I was like, okay, well, let me, talk to some of my NBA friends. I have a lot of friends in NBA friends. I said, let me talk to some of my NBA friends and see if maybe they would like to buy you out of your contract.
Wow.
So about 10 days passed, and I get a phone call from Brian. He said, man, hey, Matthew knows, right? Beyonce's dad, that's what label he was signed with.
Wow.
He said, Matthew called me and said he's ready to go to radio with a single, and I suggested your name. So I'm like, oh, okay. So about 3 or 4 days passed, and someone from his office called and said it was, contemplating 3 people to work the record, but Brian had strongly suggested that I do it. So I was like, okay, so they wanted to do a song called Already Here.
Okay.
That's the song they wanted to do because they said All I Need had been serviced before, nothing really happened to it. So I begged him, I said, man, I tell you what, I said, give me 2 weeks and let me see what I can do with this record in 2 weeks, and if I don't get a good response from it, we'll work All I Need. Already Here. It was like, okay, I'll give you 2 weeks. And within 2 weeks, that song, the funny part about it, how God works, the song was already like number 38 or 39 on the charts without anybody working it. People had, the program directors that were playing it, and the listeners were still calling in for it, but they didn't know who it was. And then it wasn't for sale, so they didn't know where to buy it. So in 2 weeks, I think I got the song to maybe 28 or 29. And, they convinced Matthew to say, okay, we're going to use this song as a single. So to this day, that song is the longest running song in the history of the Billboard charts in any genre. I had this song on the charts for 92 weeks. And from his album, he's the only artist that I know of in recent history. I had 3 songs from this album in the top 30 at the same time on Billboard. So Brian, that's a story that we tell. We feel that that's a record that'll never be broken the way the rules have changed with Billboard. So we do have some good history with Brian, and I'm proud of him. Currently, I don't know when this is going to air, but this song now is the #1 song. Great work. It's the #1 song in the country. So I'm very happy with the success that he's had, and I feel that I played a part of that. As a matter of fact, shout out to Tracy Ortis from I Hear Music that works his radio promotions. She called me after the song #1, and I felt it was so classic. She called me and said, UncleG, she said, I never would have known who Brian Courtney Wilson was if it weren't for you. So she said, you shared this #1 record as well. So that really touched me for her to take the time, being an industry veteran as she is, someone that I look up to take the time to call me and do that.
Yeah. Wow, that's so amazing. favor. You know,
Yeah.
for you to have that grace, I really feel like God definitely has given you that grace, you know, to be able to, you know, touch something. And, you know, God just blows on it. It's amazing.
Well, that's why I say I never go looking for orders. God has a way of sending me, I call them assignments. Just like Isabel Davis that I'm currently working with, it was the same way. I had an intern that had seen her video, the call, and sent it over to me. And I was like, okay, she said, I got to have this young lady need to hear. I was like, okay, well, send it to me. And I watched the video, and I could just feel the Holy Spirit from watching the video. That had never really happened to me before, by watching something on the screen, and then you could just feel it, you know. And I was like, well, okay, if you get in touch with them, if they want to do anything, you know, just let me know. Because again, I don't go looking for people. God sends them. And the funny part about
Can you repeat that again? I think artists, they need to hear this. You know, basically what you're saying is like, you don't try to make things happen. You just like
No, I've tried that in the past, and that doesn't work. Just in life, period. You know, I've learned, you know, through my years to just let God take control of the wheel, and it'll save you a lot of time and a lot of headaches, because when you know in your heart that it's God sent, it's a whole lot easier, because you know if He guides you, He's going to provide. So when He sends these assignments, I take them seriously, because I know they are His doing, and He could have chosen anybody to do that. So I appreciate the fact that He chooses me and continue to choose me to send me these people. So it's been a blessing. You know, I guess I would have to write the book for you to fully understand, you know, the history of me and, you know, my background and how I came to this. So, but I'm very grateful. I'm thankful that He sees fit to send, you know, people my way, and then gives me just listen for His word to tell me what to do with them, because not every situation is the same. Like you have to kind of tailor-made, you know, your plan for the individual artist. I'm very happy with this.
I know he's a busy man, but I have one more question before we go. How do you balance family, business, you know, music? How do you balance? Because you seem like a very good family man as well.
Man, that's first. That's first and foremost. You know, if I didn't have the understanding of my wife, Taisha Lyons, and if I didn't have that balance, or didn't have her to have my back to allow me to go out as much as I travel, as much as I spend time on the road with the different artists and the various artists, if I didn't have her to, you know, be understanding and allow me to do what God has called me to do, and also pick up the slack of what I would normally do when I'm at home. So without her, I wouldn't be able to do it. And then just the motivation of my family is my motivation.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Because I've kind of been all over the world. I've seen and done a whole bunch of things for 5 lifetimes.
Wow.
So right now, to me, it's just to leave a legacy for my kids and to give them, especially my sons, to show them a good example, because I had such a great father. My father wasn't a man of many words, but he was a provider, and he loved his family. You know, he made sacrifices for his family. So I feel I just want to, you know, do the same thing to honor what he instilled in me. So I have to have that balance. If it wasn't for them, because this industry, because that's what it is, it's an industry. It's a ministry, but it's also a business behind it too. And it'll eat you alive if you don't have balance. It'll drive you crazy, because a lot of it, you see the glam and the glitz of the artists traveling, and you know, especially in the day of social media, it seems real glamorous. But just like right now, we're sitting here, it's approaching midnight, and you know, we have to be up in another 4 hours to catch a flight to go to another ministry. And there's nothing glamorous about getting 3 or 4 hours of sleep at night and being separated from your family. You know, and see, that's the thing with me. That's where the UncleG thing comes from. To that, I feel the artists that I work with are my extended family. And if I didn't feel that way, if it was strictly business, I really couldn't do it. If it was all about business, I couldn't do it. So if I don't feel a family vibe to it, that's just my makeup is not going to work. It'd be hard for me to do what I do and the sacrifices I make for the artists if I didn't view them as my own family members.
Wow, that's amazing, because I know the Lord had shared with me one time. He was basically telling me that we have to understand that there's a difference between having a passion for something and having a hobby for something. Because if you think about it, if you have a hobby, most time hobbies is something that you enjoy doing, but you may get tired, like, let me go to something else.
Oh yeah.
But what I like about you, with the music and the business side of it, you have a passion for it. And when you're passionate about something, you eat, sleep, and drink it.
You have to.
You wake up, think about it. You daydream about it, and that's what I really sense. What God has blessed you with. You are really nurturing the gifts and the artists, and you just letting God flow through you.
Well, I think it's important for the artists that have a pure ministry to let them concentrate on ministry.
Yes, sir.
And if you can alleviate the business side from them, to let them be, passionate about their craft and what God has called them to do, it makes it easier for everybody involved. Because if they knew half of the stuff that went on behind the scenes, it would be very difficult for them to minister the way that they minister. So what I try to do is alleviate some of that stress off them, and try to handle some of the things behind the scenes and put out some fires before it reaches to them, so that way when they step into a situation, all they have to do is concentrate on the ministry aspect, and I do everything else.
That's amazing. So Uncle G, how can we follow you? You have a website, you give us.
Yeah, it's simple, UncleGpromo.com. Follow everything that I'm doing, and contact me there. You'll see some of the artists that I'm working with now, some of the artists that I worked with in the past, and then also on Instagram, I think I'm Greg UncleG Lines, and on Facebook, Greg Lines. But I'm easy to find. I'm everywhere.
Make sure you follow Uncle G now. Well, Uncle G, thank you for coming out
Man,
tonight.
thanks for your time, and I don't take it for granted when people allow me access to their platform. So I really appreciate you.
Humble on tonight. You've done a whole lot.
Thank you.
Over the years, so I'm just humbled and inspired.
I'm glad to be able to help, and I'm honored and feel privileged that that you feel that I've done said anything to make you feel inspired. So
Yes, sir.
I'm grateful for that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.